Magic Emperor Chapter 884. I want to show you what it's actually like to truly value something. Zhuo Fan burst into laughter, his voice turning chillingly cold. I want you to realize which one is actually worth worrying about more, losing your virginity or just having your first kiss stolen. Think about it. If you can even stay alive, how are you going to find the energy to stress over your purity? Everyone wants to protect their final line in the sand, but if you can hold it, you're better off not dwelling on it so you don't burn yourself out. Instead of obsessing over what's gone, why don't you take a look at what you've still got left? With that, Zhuo Fan turned on a dime and headed straight for the front courtyard without looking back. Alright, let's go meet the people from the Flying Cloud King's manor for a bit. The more you hide, the more suspicious they'll get and treat you like a suspect, so you're better off just facing them calmly. Trust me, you're not the one they're looking for, and besides, there's no way those average Joes will ever recognize you. After dropping that advice, Zhuo Fan gave a smug little smirk and confidently stepped forward. The woman stood there frozen, trembling all over as she stared in shock at his ruggedly handsome and sophisticated back. Right now, Zhuo Fan looked like a wise master who had seen it all, a total 180 from the rogue-ish, playful guy he was just a moment ago. That feeling made her feel like she had just lived through several lifetimes. Even though Zhuo Fan was only at the 5th layer of the radiant stage, his calm and steady vibe made her heart race and left her feeling completely unsettled. Oh, one more thing. Stopping in his tracks without turning around, Zhuo Fan teased her, if you don't even know your own body that well, yeah, don't try to act too smart, or you'll just end up hurting yourself. Ahaha. With a hearty laugh, Zhuo Fan kept walking and quickly disappeared from sight. The woman glared after him with resentment, but then she found herself letting out a soft giggle, her cheeks flushing as her heart pounded uncontrollably. She tried to tell herself that it was just the sudden arrival of the people from the Flying Cloud King's manor that had her so rattled. Then, she took a deep breath to steady herself and quietly followed Zhuo Fan's lead, rushing out to the front courtyard. Honestly, sometimes the most dangerous place really is the safest. I wonder what you seniors have to instruct us on. As soon as he stepped into the front yard, Zhuo Fan did a quick scan and sized them up. Dozens of soul-merging stage experts, all of them with the white cloud emblem of the Flying Cloud King's manor embroidered on their chests. Zhuo Fan quickly bowed with the humble attitude of someone of low status. Seeing he was only at the radiant stage, the group didn't think much of him and asked with a tilt of their chins, you just got here from somewhere else, didn't you? Yes, that's right. What's your relationship with this kid? The guard pointed at Gusantum standing nearby and continued his questioning with a stern face. Zhuo Fan kept his humble demeanor and calmly replied, Senior, this is my son. Where are you from, and why did you travel all this way? My son and I came here from the western lands to seek refuge and escape from our enemies. Is there anyone else in this manor besides you two? Zhuo Fan didn't answer that one right away. He was mentally calculating whether that girl would actually listen to him and show up in the courtyard. If he said yes and she had already bailed, he'd be in deep trouble. On the flip side, if he said no and they found her anyway, he'd be in just as much danger. So, for a split second, he found himself hesitating and torn. Seeing him hesitate, the guard raised a suspicious eyebrow and barked again. I'm asking you one more time, is there anyone else here? And right here. Before Zhuo Fan could even open his mouth, the woman came running out from the back with a bright smile. She walked up quickly, bringing a sweet fragrance that filled the air around her. She stopped right next to Zhuo Fan, acting all shy and huddling behind his back. The image of a fragile young woman looking at the inspection team with such vulnerable eyes made everyone's hearts soften. The guards stared at her, stunned, with a few of them looking completely love-struck by her beauty. The girl acted even more bashful, fighting behind Zhuo Fan like a little sister looking for her big brother's protection. That weak appearance really made people want to protect and cherish her. Even Zhuo Fan was secretly impressed. He realized this girl was a seasoned pro with master-level acting skills, probably on par with his own. He still remembered exactly how fierce she was just a moment ago. However, since they were on the same side for now, Zhuo Fan wasn't dumb enough to blow her cover. He just gave a little cough and a forced smile to hide his surprise. After a moment of dazing out, the guards finally snapped back to reality, cleared their throats to regain their authority, and pointed at the girl, asking, are you part of this manor too? Yes, am. The woman replied softly in a trembling, tearful voice. That sweet voice made the guards feel all warm and fuzzy inside. They had to take a deep breath to steady themselves before pointing at Zhuo Fan And following up, what's the relationship between you two? Did you both come from the Western lands? Oh, jeez. Xiu Fan hesitated, about to make up a title for her, but before he could speak, the woman quickly cut him off. He's my husband. Our whole family came here from the Western lands to hide out. Wait, what? The group initially nodded out of habit, but then they immediately jumped in surprise. They looked up and stared at the two of them in total disbelief, firing off questions. What did you say? This guy is your husband? That's right. Is there a problem? The woman nodded casually, smiled, and pulled a date Gusantum closer, saying, see for yourselves. Our son is already this big. That statement left everyone floored, and even Zhuo Fan stared at her in total confusion. This girl flipped the script way too fast. 1 minute she wanted him dead, and the next she's sweetly claiming him as her husband. What on earth is going on here? What are you looking at? Getting to play my husband is the luckiest thing that's ever happened to you. Or are you up to something shady? If you keep looking at me like that, I'll gouge your eyes out, believe me. The woman gave Xiu Fan a sharp look to warn him, while simultaneously gripping Gusantum's hand to force him to play along with the act. If he didn't cooperate, his son's life could be in immediate danger. Xiu Fan could only shake his head in helpless frustration. In reality, he wasn't worried about Gusantum's safety at all. With the kid's power, there was no way this girl could hurt him. The main issue was that Xiu Fan didn't want to just casually acknowledge any woman as his wife. Even though it was an emergency, and they were just acting, he still didn't want to give the title of his wife to someone else. There had long been an irreplaceable figure in his heart, so even if it was just pretend, he didn't want to mess with that spot. The guards looked at the two of them and felt something was off, so they spoke up. Hey lady, this guy is only at the 5th layer of the Radiant stage, while you've reached the 8th layer of the Ethereal stage. Why on earth would you pick him? Honestly, they just couldn't wrap their heads around it. On this continent, even though a power gap doesn't stop people from dual cultivating, it's still a world that values a man's strength. A man's power determines his status, so it's rare for a girl to willingly follow someone so much weaker than her. This huge gap made them think this woman was too dominant and wanted to call all the shots. Women like that are usually never faithful to just one man. Lady, with this kind of power, you must be a pretty big deal back in the Western lands. Did you set up a harem and use dark arts for your cultivation? The guard narrowed his eyes suspiciously. Hearing that, the woman turned red with embarrassment, and quickly denied it. You're the one doing that. Our family is decent, and we'd never practice such filthy dark arts. Not necessarily, because people will do anything for power, and women are no exception. The guard gave a sly grin and told his subordinates, alright guys, go inside and search the place thoroughly. If she really has a harem, there's bound to be more men hidden in there than just these 3. Got it. The group shouted in unison and immediately scattered all over the courtyard to start the search. The woman stood there feeling anxious and incredibly awkward. Xiu Fan glanced at her, sighed, and shook his head with a wry smile. The identity she just made up wasn't just hard for him to swallow, it was something outsiders wouldn't buy either. Simply put, her cultivation level was way beyond his. About half an hour later, the search party returned and reported that they hadn't found anything suspicious. Seeing that, the lead guard frowned, still looking skeptical. He just couldn't believe a powerful woman like her would stick with such a weak man. Sensing the suspicion, Xiu Fan smiled, took a step forward, and said respectfully, Senior, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Don't believe her little joke, she's actually not my wife. Is that so? The guard asked back in a serious tone. Hearing that, the woman's heart raced and sweat started dripping down her forehead. She thought to herself, damn it, is he really going to throw me under the bus? If she's not your wife, then who is she, and why is she in your manor right now? Xiu Fan took a deep breath, gave a sincere smile, and said, Senior, I wouldn't dare hide the truth from you, she's actually my cousin. We were both being chased by enemies, so we had to flee here together. Wait, a cousin? Then why did she just insist she was your wife? The guard's face hardened as he shouted with authority. Xiu Fan looked at the tense woman and explained sincerely, actually, she's always wanted to be my wife, but unfortunately, my heart has belonged to someone else for a long time. She was probably just joking around just now, so I hope you seniors can let it slide.